Hello and welcome to Criminal Record, the Daily Record's weekly crime show. My name is Norman Silvester and I'm crime reporter with the Daily Record. Our special guest today is Caroline Armour from Glasgow. Her brother Joseph Connelly went missing almost 25 years ago. He is one of thousands of Scots of all ages who are reporting missing every year. In most cases, they are found or traced. But that has not been the case with Joseph, who is still missing after he disappeared in April 2002. Caroline is on Criminal Record to tell her story in the hope that one day she might find out what happened to her older brother. Welcome to Criminal Record, Caroline. Tell me about Joseph, his family and his upbringing. Tell me a bit about him.
Joseph was one of six. There's six siblings, 3 boys and 3 girls. And he was my big brother, very close. He travelled the world, backpack on it. He travelled all the time, came back with some tremendous stories. He's very intelligent, Joseph. He spoke 5 languages. And much to my parents' disapproval, he didn't want to go and be an academic. He wanted to travel the world and just learn from people, which he did. He picked up the languages himself, and he was a very accomplished printer. And he didn't want to settle in Glasgow. He would come home 6 months, backpack, off again on his travels with some fantastic stories. And the children, my children, loved him. All his nieces and nephews adored him because wherever we had a party, he was the life and soul of the party. And you could see Joseph in a corner telling these fantastic stories. Some were really far-fetched, but he always could back them up.
Joseph went missing around April 2002, 23 years ago. What was he doing around the time he went missing? About that time, the family were attending a family wedding in Ireland. Tell me about that.
Yes, my niece was getting married, and we all, as a family, went to Letterkenny, where the wedding was held. And Joseph arrived with my brother Stephen. He was very subdued that day. We didn't know why. It wasn't like him. Joseph was always the last one to go to bed. And this particular night, he went to bed early and said he didn't feel well, and he just disappeared. We didn't think anything of it. We all enjoyed the wedding, and the next day he travelled back to Glasgow with my brother Stephen, and that was the last we saw of him.
So we're at the family wedding. Normally, Joseph's the life and soul of the party, but he seems quite subdued that day, didn't he?
Yes, he was subdued. And looking back now, and what we've learned from that day until today, he was obviously a very worried man.
So we've got a picture of Joseph, a real extrovert, life and soul of the party. Would really be enjoying this family wedding, catching up with his brothers and sisters, and other relatives, having a good time. But he was slightly different. He was subdued. Something was concerning him, and I believe he kind of went to bed early that night. Was it? He left the gathering quite early to go to his bed.
He did. He went to his bed. He just took himself off.
Were you staying in a hotel at the time?
Yes, we're all in the hotel in Letterkenny.
So rather than kind of enjoy the celebration to the wee small hours, he goes to bed quite early and then decides to go back the following morning.
Yes, he went back. He went back with my brother Stephen. Stephen was going back to work, and Joseph said he was going home too.
So would you normally have expected to maybe stay another day or return at a later date?
I don't think Joseph would have left. I think the old Joseph would have stayed and enjoyed the rest of the 2 weeks with his family.
So in reality, this was a major family gathering. He would probably spent a fair bit of time there enjoying himself. But he left quite abruptly.
Yes.
The following day, the following morning, in fact.
Yes.
His brother Stephen was obviously he had to get back to work. So he returns with Stephen to his home. It's in Govan Hill, Glasgow, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
In Govan Hill, Glasgow. And what was the reaction of the family when Joseph decided to go back? Was that thought quite strange?
Well,
Or did you
he
think
said
much of it at the time?
he just said he was going back. He had business to do, and we just thought that fair enough. Stephen had to go back to work on the Monday, and Joseph said he was going home. We didn't think anything of it at the time.
Now, you don't think at the time, and we know already that Joseph is somebody like to travel,
Yes.
and he wouldn't always keep in touch with the family, would he? He would,
No.
I'm not saying disappear, but he would be out of contact for some periods of time, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Joseph would travel and you wouldn't hear from him, but he never missed anybody's birthdays. We always got a call in the middle of the night if it was your birthday. Happy birthday, sis. Have a good one. I'm having a drink on you. And it was only when my two sisters' birthdays came and went, Christmas came and went, then my birthday came and hugged my knee. And he always called me. And we all got together as a family and thought, no, this isn't right. There's something wrong. He has a daughter in Belgium, which we got in touch and they hadn't heard from him either, which was very strange. And we decided to raise a missing persons in January
So that's January
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
So just to recap a wee bit, the last time we see it is April 2002, but it's not unusual, you're a big family, to lose contact
No.
with him because he would go travelling
Yes.
the world. And it's the day before, or the era, not before mobile phones, but there
Yes.
wasn't the ease of communication. We wouldn't necessarily be texting all the time or emailing or whatever.
No.
So he'd go and do his own thing. And then come back and regale you with stories of his travels.
Yes, that's correct.
That's right. But this didn't happen in this case. You say you missed two sisters' birthdays, you missed your birthday. So you had a kind of family conference in the January.
Yes.
And you decided to report him missing.
That's correct.
And did you go to his flat? I mean, what did you do?
No, we didn't have access to his flat, so we went to the police and we told them what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't concerned. They said, a 54-year-old man can go, he'll probably turn up. And we said no. And it was only our insistence that something was wrong that they decided to break into his flat. And when they did, his passport was still there. So we knew he hadn't gone very far. And a detective had said to me, give me 3 weeks and I'll come back and we'll tell you what we think. So that was fine. And then in the midst of all that, there was a story run in a Sunday newspaper that my brother had been murdered by someone we don't know.
At that stage, he's obviously been missing almost a year.
Yes.
The police are going into the flat. They found his passport there, which suggests he hasn't travelled.
Yes.
Was there any other evidence in the flat or anything in the flat that kind of made them suspicious or you suspicious? Was it in a good condition? Was there anything else missing? Or
there was nothing that I know was missing, but what they did say was it looked like he had literally just, there was still half a cup of coffee, half crossword puzzle that he was finishing, had just walked out the flat.
As if he'd been interrupted?
Yes, as if he'd been called to go somewhere and that was it. But this story I was very angry about because the police had never said to me that they were suspicious. And I phoned very irate, saying that, my children had read this story, my family, my sisters. I wanted answers and I wanted them now. So the detective came to the house and said, we think Joseph was involved in something. We can't say for certain, but we think he may be dead.
And how long after you'd reported him missing did all this start to come out?
6 months.
6 months. And at that time, had the police put out some sort of official appeal for information on him? Or there was a missing person? Would the public have known generally that he was missing?
Yes, they did a missing poster for Joseph.
And did they release information to the media at that time? Would they have appealed for information at the time?
No, they didn't. Funnily enough, there was no media appeal made. It was just a poster. And it was the family that were keeping this alive. I was constantly phoning the police and saying, what have you done? What are you doing? Of course, they were keeping us at arm's length because we were the last to see Joseph alive. We were under suspicion. They wanted to make sure that we weren't involved in anything. But one police officer in particular had said to me, we have information that Joseph was involved in something he shouldn't have been in. And this leads us to believe that something has happened. They wouldn't tell us anything else. So I have consistently gone back to the police and asked for information. I'm told that inspector's retired, so they put me on to another detective, and then he opens the case. And I think for a time it was just lip service I was being paid. I was very concerned because they had taken a lot of Joseph's belongings out of his flat, all his journals from when he was a boy. He'd written fantastic journals, and they did promise me that I would get these back after 7 years. So I contacted them after 7 years. I was told that they were accidentally destroyed. They apologised. I was very angry. Especially, they had said to me that it might be murder. So
I was just going to recap there. So we're 6 months into the investigation.
Yes.
You've notified the police in the January 2003. A few weeks after you've contacted the police, the story emerges that he may have been murdered. And what did the story suggest? That did he owe money to someone, or did he fallen foul of someone?
Well,
Tell me a bit about that.
we got together as a family, and Joseph had started Bandwagon Publishings, and he was publishing a crime book, not related to anything that we know about, but it was suggested that Joseph had borrowed money from some people he maybe shouldn't have, and he couldn't pay it back. And I think that's what's happened. I think he's fallen foul to someone who wanted his money, and Joseph couldn't pay it back.
We know a lot of it, criminal gangs, people involved in criminality, organised crime. They're all involved in money lending as well.
Yes.
Or that they maybe owed money, and they can be quite ruthless.
Yes.
If that money's not repaid.
Yeah.
So we know Joseph was a printer, qualified printer.
Yes.
He set up his own printing firm. He had the opportunity to publish a kind of true crime book with a kind of crime writer.
Yes.
And we think he borrowed money. Nothing significant in the subject, the matter of the book, but he'd borrowed money from maybe a certain individual or group of individuals
to fund that.
And they were now demanding repayment.
Yes.
And we think that was maybe what was preoccupying him. Maybe there'd been some threats.
I think he was a worried man. Looking back, I think he was a very worried man. And I, at the time, had said to the police that if he'd come to me, I would have paid it. And they said that it's a matter of principle. They didn't know what Joseph was involved in. He was very, he wouldn't have involved us, for sure. He wouldn't have told us. But over the years, we've come to believe that he has fell to some criminals who gave him money and he couldn't pay it back.
And these would be people maybe involved in organised crime at quite a high level. Do you think that would be?
I think so.
Was Joseph, would he have been known to the police?
No.
So he wouldn't be a name familiar to them. He wouldn't.
No, Joseph he was harmless. Everybody loved him. He was the type of man, if he walked along a road and there was someone without shoes, he would give them his shoes to them. Joseph, his motto was just, he loved life. And he always wanted to keep the peace, make everybody happy. And he had some fantastic stories to tell. He just was a lovely man, and no reason for anybody to want to kill him.
Obviously, he wasn't involved in criminality as such, but he'd be somebody we would know people, wouldn't he? And he's maybe reached out to the wrong people.
Yes.
We don't know the identity of the person or persons that he's borrowed money from.
No.
You don't have a name or?
No, I don't know. This is all supposition. This is just the police and I putting all this together. He's not just missing. He's he's not going to turn up. We know that.
Mhm.
We just want answers.
Mhm. And the police would do their own inquiries, and their inquiries would show that he may have got involved with someone, they may have owed money, that they may have been murdered. Did that?
Certainly, the police in the beginning had told us that, uh, which made sense to me.
Mhm.
And then when we look back at how subdued he was at the wedding, he was obviously a very worried man.
Just returning to when the police went to the flat and you were going to the flat as well, it was just as if a snapshot, you just walked out and left maybe to go somewhere, or
Yes,
he'd been interrupted, and not as if he had made a decision to leave and pack up. There was no,
there
he
was
hadn't taken any clothes with him,
no,
or uh,
there was everything was still in the flat. His passport, his bank book.
uh-huh.
Yeah, he's
It's all personal effects.
yeah.
So no suggestion he had gone away, he'd packed up and left. It was as if you would expect anybody's flat on any given day when they're still at home.
Yes, I mean the story that was run initially in that Sunday newspaper was that Joseph had run to Ireland and they caught up with him and murdered him there. But certainly the police had said that his passport and his bank card and everything was in the flat.
Mhm.
So they believe he was still in Glasgow.
So we can only speculate. We think he'd maybe gone to a meeting, or
Yes,
with the expectation that he would come back.
of course.
Uh, but we don't think, though he may have got involved with the wrong people, he wasn't himself involved in organised crime or anything like that.
No,
No, nothing like
no, not at all. Joseph knew a lot of
that.
people.
He'd be well connected. He would know, be in the
He
time.
was well connected. He certainly, but he wouldn't have intentionally been involved in organized crime. He certainly wasn't that type of man.
And Joseph had no history of mental illness. We know a lot of people go missing because they've got mental health problems.
No,
There's nothing like that.
no, Joseph, as I say, he was very, very charismatic. He was a lovely man and he loved life. He loved traveling. He loved his family. And he was one of the most well-rounded, grounded men that I knew.
And quite well, he travelled the world. Tell me about his travels. Have he been to all of South America and Europe and what have
Yes,
you?
yes. He traveled to Colombia. He's traveled to America, um, traveled the world. And, he once told us a story that he had met Pavarotti and had been to his house for dinner. And of course we laughed and said, yeah, yeah, okay. And he came downstairs and produced this photograph of Joseph and Pavarotti. That was the type of man Joseph was. Everybody,
Charming, very charming.
yes, everybody would gravitate towards my brother. And it made sense that, he would meet this man who would invite Joseph back to his house.
And these were the days before selfies and
Yes.
and camera phones. So it's a lot more genuine. He's not just gone up to big Pavarotti and said, get a photograph. He's obviously met him and they've
Yeah.
taken time out and found a camera
Yes.
to take the photograph. Just rewind a little bit. He was running his own business, printing business. He had the book publishing. What was was that his first publishing venture? How would he normally have earned a living? Was it as a printer or?
Yes, he was a printer. He was a very accomplished printer and he was well sought after. Big companies. He was a freelancer. So he would work and he would freelance. And then he would make it clear, I'm traveling. So I will do this one job, and then he would travel. It would give him enough money to go and live the life he loved to live. And wherever he went, he would work. He would work as a printer. He set up a business in Tenerife, his own business, bandwagon publishing.
That was based in Tenerife, was it?
Yes, that was based in Tenerife.
Based in Tenerife.
Yes.
And had he done many books, or would this have been his first publishing venture?
This book would have been his first book. Yeah, he did other things for companies.
So just to be clear, at the time, he's a working man. He's a printer. He's employed by printing firms. He's got specialist skills.
Yes.
He can work both at home and abroad.
Yeah.
And he'd set up his own first company, Bandwagon. He'd based it in Tenerife, and they had a project to produce a crime book, in which he sought finance for.
Yes.
What does that tell you? Does that seem a bit strange that he's seen not going to a bank, that he's got this kind of independent finance, or would that be something that just be the way he would operate? You maybe get somebody, an investor, to come in and see his
I think for
contracts.
Joseph, because he was a freelancer and because he travelled, that no bank was going to loan him the money that he needed to start this book, to publish this book. So Joseph believed in the book, and he believed that it was important to publish it, and that's why he would get money from whatever source. And of course, people would say to him, "Yeah, we can give you money," and he wouldn't think, "Okay," he'd think, "Great, I'll take that money and we'll sell the book and I'll pay you back."
Obviously, Joe's been missing now for best part 23 years. Have there been any sightings of him? Has there been any information at all, or has anything come in saying, well, we think we might have seen him, a man answering that description in wherever, Glasgow or London or Tenerife or whatever?
Certainly that any time that I've contacted the police, they've said, people have phoned in and said, well, I saw Joseph in Argyle Street and I saw Joseph here. And I'm like, I don't believe it. I don't believe at all.
You don't think these are credible sightings?
No, I don't.
Well-intentioned, perhaps. But...
yeah. People can imagine what they think they see, and it was certainly. I asked if they'd spoken to Joseph, and they said no, which didn't make it credible then if you see someone in the street. So yeah, nobody has ever said, well, for definite that they've seen my brother. People have contacted me privately to say, I think I've seen your brother, and then they send me a picture and it's not Joseph.
And these sightings are mainly Glasgow area, are they?
Yes.
Okay. Just we mentioned Tenerife and the business in Tenerife. Why would he have based it in Tenerife? Was that a place he visited regularly?
Yes, Joseph spoke 5 languages, and he loved Tenerife, and his heart was in Tenerife, and I think he decided he could live in Tenerife, loved the sun, and he had the best of both worlds. So he could, it was a short journey back to Glasgow if he was needed here, and that's what he decided to do.
And also a big British expat community out there as well. A lot of British people living there. Is there any chance he's done, to use an old-fashioned expression, a Reggie Perrin, just disappeared and made a new life for himself and created a new identity? Are we going to? Is there any evidence of that?
No, there's certainly no evidence of it. Joseph was, when he would drink, that's when he would phone the family, and he would have to decide to leave us all and leave his daughter, and he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't. He was very, very. He loved his family. He loved his brothers and sisters, but he loved his daughter, and he would never have left her.
Does his daughter still live in Belgium?
Yes, she does.
That's right. And is she as much in the dark as anyone?
Yes.
And obviously he's not been in touch with her.
No, he hasn't.
And would he keep in regular touch with his daughter?
Yes, he went to visit her on a regular basis. He would make sure that any money he made, he would take some money over to Gail and make sure that his ex-partner was okay. And
he's not been in touch with the ex-partner or Gail's mum or anything like that.
No.
And I take it there's been no money withdrawn from his account or anything like that.
No, they've checked. They've checked his accounts and they've never been touched. He's never applied for a driving license. He doesn't have a passport. There's been no evidence that Joseph did anything after leaving that flat.
And we don't. Do we know when that incident might have happened at the flat? It could have been weeks after he returned, or
yes, it could have been. Obviously, we feel bad now that we didn't raise a missing person sooner. The police didn't want to listen to us in the January. I don't think they would have listened any sooner. It was just us saying, this is unusual. He gets in touch and there's something wrong. I think as a family, we knew there was something wrong. We knew he had disappeared for a reason. It was just trying to find out what the reason was.
And also the fact that we know he liked to travel into backpacking and all the rest of it. It could be a bit of a nomad, didn't he? He liked to travel. It didn't have a set pattern of behaviour, did he? So that would
no. Joseph one day would say, "That's it, sis, I'm off," and I'd be like, "Where are you going? wherever the wind takes me. That was his expression. And he did. He travelled with very little money. He would work for food.
And
He would work.
was the flat his own flat?
It was a rented
Or a
flat.
rented flat, rented flat.
Yes.
And had he been paying? Do we know if he'd been paying the rent? Or
Yes, that was all up to date.
so I don't know. He might have paid by direct debit as well, did I? But all the payments would continue to be made.
Well, they were stopped as soon as we discovered that Joseph wasn't living in the flat. The flat had to be given up, and it was emptied by the local authority, so that they could rent the flat out.
Was it a council flat or
It was a council.
a council flat? So they've recovered the flat, but he's continued to make his monthly rental payments, and there's no kind of red flags.
No, no, they didn't come to us and say, your brother owes money. You know, it was.
And was there any sign of a disturbance in the flat? As if maybe somebody forced their way in or anything like that? There's no sign of that.
No, it was almost like he just walked out.
Okay. Now we understand there's been a few developments in the investigation last year or so. Tell us a bit about that, and involvement of the National Crime Agency. And
yes, out of the blue, I got a phone call, and it was from a detective inspector who said that he would like to come and speak to me regarding my brother Joseph. And I said, yes, of course. So he came out that afternoon, and he said that there had been remains found in 2002 in the Gallowgate, and they think the profile matched Joseph, but they didn't have Joseph's DNA, which shocked me because I was assured over these years that they had his DNA, and whenever remains were found, if it matched Joseph, they would contact the family. So they asked if they could come and take DNA from my brother Eddie and from my children, my sons, to form a pattern of DNA, male pattern of DNA for Joseph, which they did do. The detective inspector was very proactive. He was very good. He assured me that no stone would be left unturned, and we would have to wait for the DNA to be processed, which I hoped it was Joseph. It would certainly have put closure for us. But however, it turned out the results, it wasn't Joseph. And because they had gathered his DNA, they were able to then upload it to Interpol. And they focused on Tenerife, Spain, Ireland, places where Joseph had been. So far, there's been no matches. But the good news is that at least now it's worldwide. And we thought maybe if he was in prison, it would turn up. Nothing, no matches as yet.
So in the last year, you were contacted by Police Scotland. They initially tried to match Joseph's DNA to remains found in the East End of Glasgow.
Yes.
And subsequently, the DNA has been uploaded onto a national database.
That's correct.
For UK and also a European database.
Yes, worldwide.
So it would mean that if any remains are found in Spain, for example, or in Ireland, they can be matched up.
Yes.
That's right. And was there any particular reason why they contacted you last year, or had you been just reviewing some cases? And
this detective was involved in cold cases, and he looked at the profile of the remains and all the missing people, and he said that it fitted, and he thought it was Joseph. And he that's why he contacted me. And he said that he would keep the investigation alive because it's been difficult for the family for the last 25 years. The police only get involved when I contact them. They never contact me out the blue. So this was certainly a bolt out the blue for me. A very welcome investigation.
And we now know that Joseph's DNA is on a national database. It means that if remains are found, that it can be matched.
That's correct.
That can be matched. And you mentioned earlier, I was just interested about being in prison. I suppose it was possible he'd been involved in a court case and just didn't tell you about it.
Yes.
But that's not a case. he hasn't been somebody who's been involved in a court case. He's been in
No,
prison.
no,
No, there's no suggestion of that. And he
no.
might not want to tell the family about that either.
That's true, but they said was because he travelled to places like Colombia, if
Mhm.
he had been arrested in Colombia and they didn't contact the family, then
Mhm.
if anything happened, they would have his DNA, but he isn't in prison.
That's right. And that's obviously been good news, the fact that the police have taken a fresh interest in it.
Yes.
But obviously, tell us a bit about the last 23 years, because, you know, he just disappeared without trace. He's no history of going missing. It was just a lot of people that go missing have a history of going missing because of mental health problems. But there was nothing like that at all.
No history at all. Joseph travelled. You know, I've said that all along. He travelled. So
Mhm.
Joseph would travel for 6 months and then turn up on your doorstep and say, "Hi, sis.
Mhm.
Can I have a bath? Can I have some food?" And he would stay, and then he would move on. It was only when we pieced it together, you know, he was subdued at the wedding. He wasn't himself.
Mhm.
And then in the January, we thought, no, he hadn't contacted any of us for our birthdays.
Mhm.
And
Were the police able? I'm just thinking that he lived in Calder Street in Govan Hill in Glasgow, the south side of the city. Was you ever? I think he hadn't been in contact with pals
no,
or neighbours. Were
no,
neighbours able to shed any light on?
he hadn't been in contact with anyone. We had contacted his friends to say, you know, if you heard from Joe, and they were like, no, we haven't. Someone had said to me that they thought he'd gone to Australia. And I said, well, that would be impossible because he didn't have his passport. So that didn't make sense. And certainly we contacted his friend in Australia and he hadn't heard from Joseph.
I mean, would you go to a local pub for a beer or something like that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And he was well known in the local pub and everybody loved him. You know, they all
There'd
knew.
been no sight. Were they able to shed any light on perhaps when he'd last been seen?
No. They couldn't say when they'd last seen him.
So that kind of does that suggest then they may have gone missing not long after he returned to Glasgow?
I think so.
Because I'm imagining if he drinks in a pub, somebody would say, "Oh, we had him in 2 weeks ago,"
Yes.
or he, I don't know whether he would pay cash or by card, but there was no trail, you know, of credit cards or debit card
No,
transactions or money
no.
withdrawals
His bank hadn't been touched since he disappeared.
since he returned to Glasgow.
Yeah, and what the police put it down to is he may have had cash in the house and he was just living off the cash, which is fine if he had, but he certainly, I think, disappeared not long after he turned to Glasgow.
Because we always make, even got cash, we're going to put something through a cash card machine, aren't we? Whether it's
Yes,
groceries or
yes,
something like that. So all the evidence would point to the fact that Joseph disappeared not shortly after returning to Glasgow, and then it's a mystery after that.
yeah. It's a 25-year-old mystery that we're.
And has anybody been in touch with police? Maybe we talked earlier about them owing money and getting involved with the wrong people. Is there any suggestion that any information on that from the public? Any phone-ins? Nobody's phoned in with information, or
No, the police certainly had information, but they weren't telling me where they got it from.
okay.
They were just trying to say, look, we think he might have, something could have happened to him, which made sense.
Was there anything left behind the flat? We've talked about the bank book and the passport, but anything else that made you think, God, he wouldn't have left that? Was there anything particular, just maybe a personal effect or something like that, or just more the passport and the bank book?
Joseph, he wouldn't have left without his passport. He needed his passport to get out of Glasgow. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that everything was still lying where he'd left it.
Where he'd left it, just
his backpack was still in the house.
The backpack. What were his clothes from the wedding? Like, were they in the house?
Yeah, they were still there.
So to all intents and purposes, you know, he's returned the day after or whenever, and he's gone missing in and around that time.
Yes.
Did he have a partner at the time? Was there?
No. Joseph was single at the time. Him and his ex-partner had split up many years ago, so he was just.
But they still kept in touch.
Yes, they did. They did. He went to visit Susie and Gail on a regular basis.
And they were out in Belgium.
Yes.
Yeah, in Belgium. And you mentioned that obviously the police would want to speak to members of the family, but the family would be quickly eliminated from the inquiry as well.
That's correct. They spoke to us all individually to rule us out because they said we were the last people to see him alive, and they wanted to make sure that we weren't involved. And they quickly ruled us out, saying, yeah, they were concerned that something had happened to Joseph.
And you mentioned there about, I think it had been suggested he'd returned to Ireland. Is that plausible? You've got family out there. Did he visit Ireland much? Or?
Yes, he did. My father's Irish, so yeah, Joseph loved Ireland, as we all did, but he didn't travel to Ireland. There's no evidence.
It doesn't make sense that you go home and then come back out there.
No, it doesn't.
And if you were hiding from someone, you might be inclined to stay in Ireland. Just final on this one, he's gone back, he's concerned about something. Is a suggestion he may have been trying to resolve it, going back to resolve the finance issue, or we just don't know, just guesswork, isn't it?
I think Joseph's gone back because he was worried, and I think he's tried to resolve whatever has happened, and it's worked out in a bad ending for him.
Somebody's taken summary action. Maybe they don't believe they're going to be repaid.
I don't know how he was going to repay it.
You don't know how much was involved, do we?
No, I don't know how much was involved, and I don't know how well the book did once it was published. Joseph wouldn't have borrowed money without paying it back, but I don't know how he would have managed it, and that's the sad thing. You know, if he'd come to any of us, we would have given him the money.
Just finally, obviously, it's something to live with the family for the last almost 25 years. The family just desperate to get answers, aren't you?
Yes,
somebody somewhere must know something.
There were 6 of us, and now there's only 2. There's my brother and I, and my older sister's passed away, not knowing what's happened to Joseph. And I think when the police contacted me last year, I finally felt we were going to get answers. My brother and I, as a family, we can't grieve. We don't have closure. We can't for certain say Joseph's dead. We can't say he's alive. So we deal with it differently. Eddie deals with it quietly, and I deal with it by constantly contacting the police by Facebook missing persons. That's how I deal with Joseph's. I want to. I don't know what's happened to him. I just want to be able to find him and bring him home.
And would you appeal to anybody out there, because there must be somebody who knows something, to come forward? You know, after sometimes passage of time can change, allegiances, and people might be scared to come forward. But would you appeal to anybody out there who knows what's happened to Joseph to contact the police?
100%. You know, I share on Facebook often about Joseph being missing, and I say, please contact me privately. I don't want anybody prosecuted. I just want to be able to find Joseph and bring him home. So if someone does know something, please, it's torture for us. It's a living nightmare, and people don't understand that your brother missing all these years. A part of me is missing too.
And it's something that's obviously living with you. You're not constantly reminded of it.
There's some days it consumes me, and some days I don't think about it. I try my best. I try and keep his memory alive. I try and get answers, but a brick wall. I hit a brick wall every time. The police have changed their stories over the years too. That inspector's retired, so they start again, and it's so frustrating for the family.
Just what you mentioned there about the police being in contact more recently, were they able to share any information about what they think might have happened to Joseph at all? Or?
No, they were very working on today's theory rather than 23 years ago. Yes.
And one of the things that I know you haven't done, which you would have been entitled to do after 7 years, is to declare Joseph dead, but you're not doing that. It's important for you to keep that.
I'm not doing that until I know he's dead. I've been asked why I don't do it, and because I would feel I gave up on him if I do that. I'm admitting defeat if I declare him dead. And to what end? there's no gain from me.
Oh, there's no assets from his
No,
estate.
no.
But more importantly, you feel that if you did declare him dead, then that would kind of send the wrong signal out that you would kind of you'd
I'd given up. Yes.
But you're determined now, as you were probably the first day, to find out what happened to him.
Even more determined now, I would say.
Thank you, Caroline, for joining us, and thanks to our audience for tuning in to Criminal Record. If you have a question for the team, you can email reporters@dailyrecord.co.uk with the subject line Criminal Record. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, you can subscribe to listen to this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts by searching for Criminal Record, or you can watch it each week on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.